Hey guys, Lawman here for another deck profile as per usual. And as you can see from the title and the playmat, we are finally looking at Magnamon, but now with the brand new gold armor form, or the golden Digizoid form that he has gotten in BT16. With this new support, this deck essentially goes from a kind of like tier 2, like tier 1.5 deck to literal like just tier 1. Like it is literally one of the best decks this format because of just how strong the card is. We also have the power of essentially every Magnamon that we've had the last few sets. We've had the original BT8, we have the Royal Knights one, and we also have the new starter deck version that helps us remove stuff. We also have a brand new Davis and Vmon that basically allow us to get free, reduced evolution and gain a memory, so pretty cool. We also do get a brand new egg too, as you know, most people at this point know as of this filming. This is like basically the same day as release day. So I'm assuming at this point, a lot of you have already, basically gone to a pre-release or something. But basically, the whole set, if you actually look at it, if you sort out all the cards, almost everything in the set was focused on armor or dual color, and that's basically what this deck uses most of the time. So it basically got some pretty decent support. If you really wanted to run a full armor like V deck, you could potentially do it, but at the same time, um, the main focus of the deck is to just basically go into Magnamon and just keep going from there and just swinging. But yeah, let's actually get actually before we get into deck profile, I want to do a shout out to my friend Brock for hooking me up with basically all the cards I needed for this set, especially the Magnamons, because Magnamons, being the secret of this set, it is kind of hard to pull it, sadly, because there's two secrets in this set. So you're either guaranteed a Rapid X or a Magna X, but luckily my friend, as I said, he actually he ended up getting a case, and because of that, I got them off him because he has like multiples at this point. So lucky me. But yeah, so thanks again to thanks again, Brock. Shout out to you because I really appreciate it because then I can actually play this deck. Aside from that, anyway, let's actually get into the deck profile so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about. So for the eggs, we're only running one, and we are running 4 of the brand new Vmon. Also, got these foils from my friend. Pretty nice foiling on these. But yeah, no. So this is a new Demi Vmon. Its effect isn't really that impactful when you first kind of use it, but then once you start using it with Magna X, you actually start seeing how powerful it is. Basically, it's an all turns effect. While this Digimon has 2 or more colors, it gets plus 1,000. So basically, on your opponent's turn, if you already manage to evolve into Magna X, he's going to be by default 16,000. So they have to breach past 16,000. And the only few decks I know that can do that would be Tyrant and War Greymon and Imperial. So those are the three. Those are the other decks that you have to really watch out for. Also, Magna X can be DP reduced, sadly, because of lingering effects, especially with Numemon. So you have to watch out for that as well. But yeah, we run the 4 Demi Vs because Demi V is like super solid, super strong. And then we run basically all of our rookie lineup is just a Vmon. So let's get into the Vmon. So first off, we run 4 of the BT12 Searcher. I went and got basically the way better like alt art where he's eating ramen, but you have to run 4 copies because A, he searches your Davis, and he searches a free type, which is specifically all your Magnas. Sadly, it doesn't search Magna X, so it's not as good, but still not too bad. But yeah, so we got to run the 4 copies for the searching. His inherent doesn't really matter because you don't really DNA Digivolve in this. You're just basically going into Magna X as your main goal. Then we run 4 of the promo Vmons. This is the alt art that you actually get for participating in pre-release. This one is really cool. I love the art of it. The fact that like it's finally foiled. Aside from basically buying an adventure box, but my area hasn't really gotten it, so I've opted to get this instead. This guy's really busted because basically as long as you have a tamer, you can digivolve into a 3 type Digimon for 1 less cost. So you basically make all your Magnamons only 2 costs now. Also, when attacking effect, his inherit is not once per turn. So if you manage to unsuspend with Magnamon X, you get to basically get an extra 2 draws in total. But yeah, you got to run 4 because this guy's like your main dude that you want to be evolving into. Then we run 3 of the VMons from BT8 specific, or my bad, sorry, starter deck 9. This one is basically reveal the top 3 cards, add 1 card with 3 in its traits among them to your hand, you place the remains at bottom. This one is just another searcher along with this, so you basically have as much searching power as possible. And then the last V we run is, of course, the Vmon from BT16. For those that don't know what this does, your turn, when one of your other Digimon is played or Digivolves, if it has free trait or is green, gain 1 memory. So if you Digivolve into Magnamon while this is on the field with one of these guys, you basically make it a 1-cost evolution, which is pretty good. And of course, its inherit is also really solid for Magna X on your turn. It gives plus 2,000, so by default on your turn, Magnamon X is already 14,000. So with the boost, he'll become 17,000 swinging for another check. So it's really strong. Yeah, but for the rookies, we run 8, 11, 12, 13 exactly. It is kind of weird to run a little bit more than normal, but at the same time, armor usually runs a lot of VMons. It usually goes to like 14, so 13 isn't really that bad. I was going to go for 12, but this guy is just really solid, so I wanted to include him at least at 2 copies. Yeah, and that's basically all the the level 3 rookies. For level 4s, obviously this being a Magna deck, we only run 1 level 4, and that's specifically Magna. First off, we run the 4 copies of the starter deck one. This guy, honestly, like, at first I was like, oh, he only gets to remove, like, 2 sources. Nah, this guy, early game, is really strong because it basically prevents your opponent from gaining any advantage whatsoever, because any guy they place down, like any rookie that they're planning, like, oh, I'm going to leave it on the board and evolve it, nah, it's gone. Because this thing basically bounces it back to hand after removing sources up to its color, so it's really strong. Plus the fact that it's blocker, it has armor purge, and I actually finally had this happen in testing against one of my friends on Discord. The de-digivolving and evolving into a Vmon, I actually got to play a Vmon because I left out a Royal Knights Magnamon and he died. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll play this Vmon. And then they swung into security. And by doing that, they hit this one and my Vmon immediately evolved after de-digivolving it. So I got to basically de-digivolve and bounce the card at the same time. So this guy is an absolute must. You have to run him at 4. He's so good. And he's really easy to get. He comes as 2 copies in each of the Double Typhoon decks. So, I mean, why not? And those are pretty abundant at a lot of stores right now. Like, I've been seeing excess of them everywhere, so I would honestly get these ASAP. Then, of course, we run the Royal Knight Magnamon, and shout out to my locals for helping me grab this. I have the Participation one, I have the Top 4 one, and I have the Champion one. Basically, we run 3 copies of this guy because A, he is a blocker, and then all turns when this guy were to basically leave the field in any capacity, like in literally any way, he draws you 1 card and you play a Vmon for free. And you could always play down a Searcher one, you can play down this one to reduce cost next turn, you could play the promo one so that next turn you get the reduction in Evo. It's really strong. So you got to run at least 3 copies of this guy. Then, of course, the last Magna we run is the old BT8 one. This guy is still really strong. I actually feel that this guy is actually kind of like sometimes your closer, because if you swing with basically if you swing with Magna X and you get rid of all of their security and you still need 1 more hit, and you have like the Vmon that you played off of the Magnamon, you go, okay, you just swing and then go, okay, so normally how I do it is that I use alliance with a certain tamer, so Magna X checks all their security, and I'm like, oh, okay, Vmon suspended, so you can't swing, right? No. You digivolve into this, usually you have plenty of memory, so you go, okay, cool, and now unsuspend, boost itself, and swing for game. So this guy is really crucial because of the unsuspension part, and yeah, and of course he gets that extra boost for the turn, so gotta at least run these 3. That's basically all for the level 4s. We don't run any level 5s in this deck because our main goal is to get into our level 6, and we can honestly just skip right into it, thankfully, because that's just how the card works. It has an alternate evolution for 5 on top of any Magna. My bad, I actually missaid. I actually do run one other one, and it's Cephmon. Specifically, Cephmon is just kind of there for removal to get rid of stuff. You can basically target your Magna X, pop it to pop theirs, and then you basically evolve into another Magna X. So, pretty solid. He's just there mainly for removal, but that's basically it for the level 4s. For like, I'm actually sure this time. For level sixes, of course, we only run one. We run the brand new Magnamon X Antibody. That is the first triple color card to exist here in the TCG. For those that do not know what this card does yet, or kind of weird if you don't know, because this guy's literally going to be like taking over the format for a slight bit. He has Blocker, Armor Purge. He can Digivolve on top of a two-color Magnamon, in its name for a cost of 5. When Digivolving, if Magnamon X Antibody or an Armor Form trait card is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, until the end of your opponent's turn, this Digimon gets plus 3000 DP and isn't affected by your opponent's effects, then unsuspended. So this is already really broken. But then it also has an all turns effect. Once per turn, when a card is removed from a security stat, you may activate one of this Digimon's when Digivolving effects. So you basically get to trigger on Digivolve, you get to become immune, and then if they remove a security, you get another boost. So you're basically guaranteed to gain plus 6,000. So you'll be at 18,000. And with the egg, you'll be 19,000. So they have to breach past 19,000 just to get rid of this guy, which is really crazy. But yeah, this guy is just super broken, and he can just swing, like swing into security, make himself immune, and then swing again. And then you can like evolve him into something else if you really want to. For level 7s, we only run 2 specifically, and we run the 1 Merciful mode and 1 Def X. Def X is just there to kind of get rid of Swarm boards like from Imperial. Merciful is to take down any deck that likes to play stuff from trash, like especially Fenrir Luga. This is still very crucial to take it down. Until we get Imperial, I think I'm going to be keeping this because a lot of builds do run Omni or like GX or something, but I like having the control aspect of these two. And of course, if you evolve into this and don't pass turn, you make your Merciful mode immune to everything. So you basically just chill on him and go, okay, cool. I don't really care, and then trash, and then it goes back to Magna X. So really solid. Then the rest of the deck is just mainly options and tamers. So let's actually get into that. So for the first one, we run, of course, the 3 Awakening of the Golden Knight. This card is crucial because it protects you from DP reduction for the turn. And of course, it lets you skip for only a cost of 3 instead of 5 on evolution. Its security is also pretty decent because you can return a Magnamon card from your trash. So if somehow you lose Magnamon X, you get to get him back if they hit in security. Then we run 2 Heaven's Judgment, because Heaven's Judgment is really crazy in this deck because this guy being triple color, you get 4 activations of it. So you're basically doing minus 24,000 to the board, which is insane. It's like the old Shine from like BT2 and 3 where you could just wipe the board. Then we run 2 Blinding Rays, mainly because to trigger his effect so he becomes immune, and you can swing in for like 16 for 2 checks if you do the Alliance stuff. It really sucks that this doesn't have an inherent, but the fact that it lets you trigger his effect is really strong. Then we run 2 Mental Trainings because a lot of this deck is blue, so it's very easy to search everything, especially Magna X, especially if you don't hit them with the VMons. Then we run 2 Memory Boosts, mainly to just get that extra 2 memory and to search the top 4 and to mainly hit for Magna X. Then we run 2 final Zubagon Punches because this basically gives it a blocker and reboot. And almost every time in testing that I use this card, it was to pass turn to them for 3 and then make this have reboot. So I basically made him a 19,000 blocker on their turn that was fully immune to everything, which was really hilarious. Then for Tamers, we run the 3 Davis. This guy is really crazy because start of your turn, you get a memory if you have a 3 type, which is basically everything except for Magna X and, the 2 level 7s. But then the fact that on play, you get to just play a Vmon, so you can pass turn by just playing a Vmon and playing a Searcher, so it's really strong. Then we run 2 Davis because Memory Setter, and of course it lets us search the top 3 cards to grab a blue and a green. 1 TK to search our security and to trigger Magna X's ability. And then 1 Yulin because of Alliance, because it can Mind Link with any X antibody. So you give this thing Alliance and Reboot, and you can suspend one of your Magnas to basically give it that extra check plus the 7,000 DP that it's going to be getting. So pretty solid. This deck, it looks really simple, but it's really strong. And sometimes, simplicity is honestly the best way to go, because I did try building Yellow Vaccine, and it feels very clunky because you're like, oh, do I go for the Magna X? Do you go for the Rapid? Do you go for like the Venus? You know, it's just kind of weird because it's like, of course you get free evos, but here it's just you're just simply making him swinging and just controlling the board and just chilling as a blocker. That's all you do, and it's just as I said, it's very simple and it makes it much easier to kind of like just play the deck essentially. Because with Yellow Vaccine, you have to time everything, you have to play everything really correctly, and if you mess up, you basically auto lose. But with this deck, it's like you just make Magna. That's it. That's all you do. And then if their board gets out of control, you Merciful, you Def X them, you Heaven's Judgment them, you know, or you Final Zubagon Punch and just swing for hella checks. And yeah, that's basically the deck. It looks really simple, but it's really fun to play. Honestly, like it's just insanely powerful. Aside from that, that's honestly everything I can think of for this deck. The matchups are just really crazy because there are a lot of decks. There are some decks that can get around it. I mentioned that Numamon can get around this with DP reduction. Dorogora is actually a pretty solid contender to take this deck down sometimes because if you don't have the boost, sometimes Dorogora can actually get over it. And because he already has the blocker keyword, he is actually forced to block because of collusion. So potentially you could actually lose your Magna X and have to armor purge, which really sucks. Aside from that, honestly, like Dorogora, like it's Imperial also might be an issue if you don't set up faster than them. Um, Tyrant might be a slight issue, but at the same time, you can just kind of punch through their stuff, and they want you to hit their suspended, so you're like, okay, I guess I'll just kill your Tyrant. It's kind of weird. Like a lot of some decks do have a decent matchup against this, but most of the time you can get around them pretty easily if you just kind of like take a bit and just like or take a sec to basically like figure it out. It's not too bad. The only honestly bad matchup I can honestly really think of would be kind of maybe security control, because almost everything in their security is a option that can hurt you. So potentially if you hit into it and you don't have a boost yet, you can potentially die from that, which really sucks. Because how security effects resolve is that options will trigger first before your when digivolving or all turns effect. So if it gets hit by a chaos degrade, it's basically done, and you basically can't do anything about it, sadly. But yeah, aside from that, no, the deck is just really solid against a lot of matchups. Like a lot of people are saying like, oh, I'm gonna counter Magna X, but like it's honestly really hard, and sometimes you just kind of have to like figure out a weird way to do it. So yeah. Anyway, as usual, this is my version of it. This is honestly distilled from a lot of information I had to look through because Magna X did a lot of topping in the OCG. So because of that, I had to sift through a lot of information. Also, shout out to my friend on Discord, Frosty, for helping me build this version. We actually went over like multiple versions. I actually built a rough version, and then he helped me kind of refine it. Where with the inclusion of Cephmon. Originally, I was including Flame Dramon, but he's like, hey, why not do Cephmon? And then same with like the ratios and everything. We were kind of like going over it back and forth. But he helped me figure out this build, and so far in testing, this is really solid. So yeah. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys next time.